Rishita Robin and welcome to SG Global News. From Pope Francis marking the 12th anniversary of his election as Pontiff to a Pakistani court annulling the forced child marriage of a Christian girl, we have many stories to cover. March has always been a significant month for Pope Francis, marking key moments in his life. In 1958, he joined the Society of Jesus, and in 2013, he was elected Pope, all in the month of March. Now, as he celebrates the 12th anniversary of his election, Pope Francis continues his stay at Rome's Gemelli Hospital. Over the past 12 years, he has restructured the Vatican's bureaucracy, authored 4 major teaching documents, made 47 international trips to over 65 countries, and canonized more than 900 saints. Today marks the 12th anniversary of the election of Archbishop Jorge Mario Bergoglio as the 265th successor of St. Peter. On March 13, 2013, he became Pope Francis, the first Latin American pontiff, the first Jesuit pope, and the first to take the name Francis in honor of St. Francis of Assisi. Over the past 12 years, he has guided the Catholic Church with the focus on humility, mercy, and outreach to the peripheries of society. Pope Francis was born on December 17, 1936 in Buenos Aires, Argentina, to Italian immigrant parents. Before entering the priesthood, he studied chemistry. In 1958, he joined the Society of Jesus and later pursued humanities studies in Chile. Returning to Argentina in 1963, he earned a degree in philosophy and later taught literature and psychology at Immaculate Conception College in Santa Fe and Colegio del Salvador. After completing his theological studies, he was ordained a priest in 1969. Throughout his ministry, he served as a novice master, professor of theology, consultor to the Jesuit province, rector of the Collegium Maxima of the Faculty of Philosophy and Theology, provincial of the Jesuits in Argentina, and a parish priest. In 1992, Pope John Paul II appointed him Auxiliary Bishop of Buenos Aires. By 1998, he had become Archbishop, Primate of Argentina, and Ordinary for Eastern Rite Catholics in Argentina who had no bishop of their own right. At the consistory of February 21, 2001, Pope John Paul II elevated Bergoglio to the rank of Cardinal. Following the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI, Cardinal Bergoglio was elected Pope on March 13, 2013. His papacy has been defined by a commitment to social justice, interfaith dialogue, environmental responsibility, and church reform. Pope Francis has been a trailblazer in many respects. He has made historic visits, including being the first pope to visit the United Arab Emirates in 2019, strengthening Vatican-UAE diplomatic relations. His global travels and engagement with diverse communities have exemplified his mission to bring the church closer to the people. His teachings have emphasized care for the marginalized, economic justice, and the importance of fraternity among all people. His encyclicals, including Laudato Si and Fratelli Tutti, have had a profound impact worldwide. His apostolic exhortation, Amoris Laetitia, addressing family life, sparked discussions across the Catholic world. One of his most memorable quotes reflects his deep faith and pastoral vision. Although the life of a person is in a land full of thorns and weeds, there is always a space in which the good seed can grow. You have to trust God. As the Church celebrates this milestone, Pope Francis continues to serve as a shepherd to 1.3 billion Catholics worldwide. His leadership, rooted in compassion and faith, remains an inspiration to many. On this special anniversary, prayers of gratitude are offered for his continued guidance and well-being, that he may continue to sow the seeds of hope and love in the world. 2 U.S. senators seek answers on Planned Parenthood's COVID relief funds. In a letter to the U.S. Small Business Administration, they requested clarification on documents and records related to Planned Parenthood's funding through the Paycheck Protection Program.
2 Republican senators have called for an investigation into why the Planned Parenthood Federation of America received over $100 million in COVID-19 relief funds. Senators Rand Paul of Kentucky and Joni Ernst of Iowa, both prominent Republican figures, have sent a letter to the U.S. Small Business Administration seeking answers. Paul, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs, and Ernst, who leads the Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship, are requesting documents documents and records related to the Planned Parenthood's Federation's receipt of funding through Paycheck Protection Program. Between 2020 and 2021, Planned Parenthood affiliates received approximately $120 million in Paycheck Protection Program loans, funds intended to help small businesses during the economic impact of the pandemic. The senators are now asking the Small Business Administration for all records concerning the application process for these loans, including communication with affiliates. Additionally, they are calling for an explanation why the funds are approved and whether efforts have been made to recover any improperly issued funds. This scrutiny comes after the SBA, under the Trump administration, had informed Planned Parenthood affiliates that they had wrongly applied for 38 Paycheck Protection Program loans totaling $80 million and demanded repayment. However, in 2021, under the Biden administration, the SBA approved an additional $40 million in funding for the organization that fueled abortion. In their letter, the senators urged the Small Business Administration to investigate whether any Planned Parenthood affiliates knowingly made false certifications in their loan applications and to pursue any appropriate penalties for any unlawful actions in connection with the Paycheck Protection Program.
Turmoil is brewing in Romania as the country's constitutional court decided to bar conservative activist Călin Georgescu from running in the presidential election scheduled to take place in May. The court's decision was based on an intelligence report that claimed Georgescu colluded with Russia during the campaign period, but protesters say that this is a plot to sabotage him, who has the best chances among the candidates in the race to win the election. The streets of Bucharest erupted into violence as millions came outside to protest the barring of Romanian conservative activist Călin Georgescu from participating in the presidential election, which is scheduled to be held in May. The demonstrations were held after the country's constitutional court rejected Georgescu's appeal against the Election Bureau's decision to disqualify him from running for presidency. Georgescu, a career economist and a relatively unknown figure, shocked the country by securing the highest number of votes in the first round of the presidential election held in November. However, his result was annulled by the Constitutional Court 2 weeks after it was announced, following a report alleging that Georgescu had received Russian aid throughout the campaign period. Georgescu, who has extensively used TikTok to reach out to the country's youth, centered his presidential campaign on preserving Romania's Orthodox heritage, promoting the Christian way of life, and adopting a pacifist approach to ending the ongoing war in Ukraine. Georgescu's barring from the forthcoming elections has not been well received by a large section of the Romanian population, as many have accused the intelligence report of being part of a plot by the centre-left-led government to discredit Georgescu's growing popularity. Romania in recent months has been hit by virulent protests as student organizations and workers' unions took to the streets to protest against the incumbent government's failure to suppress oil and gas prices, which have risen extensively due to the Russia-Ukraine war. Advocates for detained Hong Kong media tycoon and pro-democracy activist Jimmy Lai are seeking US government intervention to secure his release as his health deteriorates after 4 years in solitary confinement. His son Sebastian Lai and legal representatives have met with the US officials, emphasizing the urgency of clemency or compassionate release amid growing international support. Advocates for detained Hong Kong media tycoon Jimmy Lai will meet with President Donald Trump's administration officials to help secure his release. Sebastian Lai, the son of Jimmy Lai, said in a press conference on March 11th that his legal team met with the State Department in Washington and plans to meet with the National Security Council and several senators. He also said that President Trump was the first president in the United States to mention his father by name and was much more hopeful about the new US administration. The lead of Jimmy Lai's international team, Keelan Gallagher, said that unless urgent action was taken, Jimmy Lai, who is 77 and diabetic and kept in solitary confinement for the past 4 years, might die in prison. According to her, there was no legal avenue and they hoped for a clemency or a compassionate release due to his failing health. Jimmy Lai, the founder of the pro-democracy newspaper Apple Daily and a human rights activist, was arrested in 2020 and has been on trial since December of 2023 for allegations of colluding with foreign forces under a national security law put in effect by the Chinese government. The US was the first to call for Lai's release, and the case has now received support from the UK, Canada, and Australia. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly stated that her office has limited authority to stop a controversial black mass organized by the Satanic Grotto from taking place at the state capitol on March 28th, despite strong protests from Catholic groups. While she expressed sympathy for those opposing the ritual, she emphasized the constitutional rights of all demonstrators and requested that the event be moved outside the Capitol building. The Satanic Grotto has refused to relocate, insisting on proceeding with their ritual as planned, sparking further backlash from Catholic leaders. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly stated on Wednesday that the governor's office has limited authority to cancel a black mass that is reportedly set to be held at the state capitol on March 28th. A Kansas-based satanic group, Satanic Grotto, is behind the black mass. According to a social media post from the group, they intend to dedicate the grounds and the legislature to the glory of Satan through this ritual. They have also explicitly announced their intention to engage in sacrilegious practices. The Catholic bishops of Kansas, along with several other Catholic organizations, have condemned the ritual and are protesting the Black Mass. A petition launched by TFP Student Action has already garnered over 35,000 supporters. Governor Kelly's official statement may have been in response to the loud public outcry from the Catholics against the Black Mass. In her statement, Kelly acknowledged being informed of concerns regarding the event at the State House on March 28th. While she expressed sympathy with these concerns, she refrained from addressing the specific nature of the event. Kelly emphasized that there are other constructive ways to protest and express disagreements without insulting or denigrating sacred religious symbols. She also noted her duty to protect the constitutional rights of protesters regardless of the nature of their content. While the governor expressed no intention to cancel the event, she did ask organizers to move all activities planned for March 28th to the grounds surrounding the State House. The Satanic Grotto responded by asserting that they would not relinquish their rights. The group announced on its Facebook page that its president, Michael Stewart, will enter the state capitol building and perform the ritual as originally planned. In a statement to Catholic news agency, Chuck Weber, executive director of the Kansas Catholic Conference, criticized Governor Kelly's March 12th message, calling it condescending and showing a willful ignorance about the scheduled event. He further stated, quote, "A vile and despicable satanic worship ritual has been approved to take place on the grounds of the Kansas State Capitol, the People's House. Moving it from the living room to the front porch changes nothing," end quote. In recent years, the Satanic Temple, a non-theistic branch of Satanism to which the Satanic Grotto was previously affiliated, has gained recognition as a legitimate organization. This recognition has given them some legal grounds to conduct ritualistic black masses and other occult demonstrations on state grounds. While Satanism is recognized as a legitimate religion in some contexts, it stands in stark contrast to traditional belief systems like Catholicism, which views it as a manifestation of rebellion against God and a serious moral danger. Former French Prime Minister François Fillon recently shared a message from the Carmelite Sisters of Aleppo, drawing attention to the massacres in Syria's northwest Alawite region, which the nuns describe as a true genocide. The sisters urged prayers and action to stop the violence, highlighting the suffering of innocent civilians, dwindling supplies, and the government's silence amid growing protests. The nuns also emphasized the Church's efforts to advocate for peace and shared stories of interfaith solidarity, offering hope in the midst of tragedy. François Fillon, who served as the Prime Minister of France from 2007 to 2012, recently shared a message from the Carmelite Sisters of Aleppo on X. The message has since been widely circulated. A translation of the original post, which was shared on March 11th, appeared the following day on another X account titled Carmelite Quotes. The message begins with the nuns expressing gratitude to those who have reached out to them in concern. They go on to describe the massacres unfolding in Syria's northwest coast in the Alawite region as beyond words. Calling it a true genocide, the sisters question how the simple, impoverished Alawite people can be held responsible for decades of rule by the Assad family. They urge readers to pray and do everything in their power to help stop the inhuman slaughter of the Alawite population, who, they emphasize, have no wealth, power, or means to defend themselves. The message also mentions Sister Rima, the superior of the Apostolic Carmelite Sisters of St. Joseph in Latakia, who wept for the young Alawite women in their student residence who have lost parents, siblings, and friends in the massacres. According to the nuns, supplies are running short in Aleppo and protests are spreading across the country, many of which turn violent. They accuse the government of remaining silent and apathetic as the nation plunges deeper into turmoil. The nuns highlight the efforts of the church, patriarchs and bishops who have spoken out firmly against the violence, calling on the government to truly work for the good of the country. Their message specifically mentions the efforts of Monsignor Jalouf, the head of the Apostolic Vicariate of Aleppo. They also note that other groups, including the Druze, Kurds, and Shiites, have risen up to defend the Alawite population. The nuns also mention the stories of Shiite and Sunni Muslims who have taken in Alawite refugees, acts of courage and goodness that shine bright even in the midst of tragedy. They also ask for prayers for the Christian community deeply shaken by the unrest so that they may remain steadfast in faith and not abandon their homeland. They conclude their message with Lenten blessings stating, quote, "Our Savior Jesus has triumphed and he will always triumph through his self-offering and his death of love on the cross," end quote. The Carmelite nuns' convent on the outskirts of Aleppo has withstood many wars. Even when provisions were scarce, the sisters took in others, including Muslims, sharing whatever little they had. In October 2016, a missile landed in the convent's garden but providentially did not explode. Today, this convent of quiet Carmelite nuns continues to radiate hope, strength, and support to the people of Aleppo, serving as an exemplar of true Christian faith. In a victory for religious freedom, a Pakistani court has annulled the forced marriage and conversion of 18-year-old Christian girl Shahiba Bibi. Bibi's marriage to her stepfather's brother following her forced conversion to Islam has been legally dissolved.
Shahida Bibi, born into a Christian family in Pakistan, never imagined her life would take such a drastic turn at the age of 11 when her mother eloped with a Muslim man. Forced into marriage with her stepfather's brother and converted to Islam, Bibi's childhood was stolen as she was thrust into the responsibility of caring for 2 children. At the age of 18, her forced marriage was formalized under Islamic nikah, a union intended to shield her abductor from prosecution under Pakistan's anti-child marriage laws. In February 2025, a civil court in Bahawalpur, Pakistan, issued a decree in Bibi's favor, annulling her forced marriage and ordering her identification documents to reflect her true religion, Christianity. She was granted new documents affirming her faith and was free to return to her father. However, her abductor is unlikely to face any legal consequences, having contracted the marriage when Bibi turned 18 to avoid punishment under the anti-child marriage law. Tahmina Arora, Director of Advocacy for Asia at ADF International, which supported Bibi's case, stated that no one should endure the horrors of abduction and forced marriage, nor should they be coerced into abandoning their faith. Bibi's case highlights the broader issue of forced child marriages, with over 100 million girls worldwide at risk and more than 1,000 girls from religious minorities in Pakistan being forcibly converted and married each year. As global human rights leaders turn their attention to Pakistan's ongoing violations, Shahida Bibi's victory stands as a beacon of hope in the fight for justice.
That's all for today. Until we meet again, God bless and thank you.